After 3 months that my parents got married, my mother became pregnant. War broke out and my father was sent to serve. After 5 months, my father escaped from the training camp in Milano to see his 17-year-old bride. He stayed with her for 4 days, but then had to return before his absence was noticed. A few days later, my mother gave birth to my brother prematurely. My father was transported to Libya, but was soon captured and taken as a prisoner of war and sent to Egypt. Later, when he was transported to South Africa, 2 of the 3 ships he was travelling on were shot down. Fortunately, my father was on the first ship, which was untouched. He used to tell us how badly they were treated in South Africa and about how they were fed on potato peels and bread. Times were also very tough for my mother in Italy. I remember her telling me that at her worst moment, when she was heavily pregnant with my brother, she had crawled on her knees up gravel steps to the Madonna to pray for my father's safe return. Now, with a small child to feed, she went to work in the fields picking olives, bent over working with my brother strapped on her back. My father finally returned home on New Year's Day, 1947. By then, my brother was 8 years old and my sister was born 11 months later. In early 1952, my father once again left his family, this time for Australia, in search for a better way of life, not realising he had left my mother pregnant, and as a result, I was born in August that year. Sadly, this was the second time my father missed the birth of one of his children, but he was working hard in Australia to raise money for us to join him, and 2 years later, our family finally was together. When we arrived, we lived in a rented house in Brunswick. When I was about 8, my parents saved enough money to buy their first home, which was in Campbell Street, Coburg, and that is where I lived until I got married. My father worked in a rope factory and as a cleaner in a college library. He loved this job because he loved books. Finally, he worked at Ford Motor Company, spare parts division, with my husband. My mother got a job as a machinist in a linen factory, and my father would accompany her to work on the tram. But as it got too hard for him, she had to learn how to get there herself. The tram fare was 4 pence, and on her first day, she kept repeating 1, 2, 3, 4. When the conductor asked her for the fare, she counted under her breath 1, 2, 3, and yelled out 4. When I think about my mother being so independent, I admire her courage. As time drew close for her 10 years of service, she was dismissed just so they wouldn't have to pay her long service. She quickly found a job in a clothing factory where she worked until she retired. I think she always felt Australia had a lot more to offer her, that this was now her home. He always loved to play the guitar. He was an excellent dancer and singer. He even sang a song at my wedding. He was always hungry for knowledge. He would learn a new English word and then test us to see if we knew the meaning. My father always tried to make life easier for my mother and his family. Maybe he was trying to make up for all the hard times they had endured while they were apart. My parents taught me about family values and commitment. My father always aimed high for his family. I don't think I would be in the position I am in now without my parents' dedication and hard work. Thank you, Mum and Dad, for having the courage to move your family to a new country and for your strength and the sacrifices that you made to give us a better life.